Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're taking a close look at just one source, a really insightful film review.
That's right. It's by Mary Munoz on Moviescramble, and she's reviewing the Polish film Corpus Christi.
A significant film, too. It was Poland's pick for the Best International Feature Film Oscar back in 2020.
Yeah, and Mary's review gives us a great way into understanding why it resonated so much.
So, our mission today is simple. Unpack this review. We want to pull out the core ideas, the film's premise, its themes, and what Mary felt really gave it its punch.
Okay, let's get into it.
So what's the first thing that jumps out from Mary's review?
Well, she immediately flags that it's inspired by this almost unbelievable real story from Poland.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, about a guy who wasn't actually ordained, but managed to convince a whole town he was their priest.
Wow.
So the screenwriter, Matej Pasovich, used that as a starting point for the main character, Daniel. He's played by Bartosz Belania.
And Daniel's situation is kind of intense, right? Coming out of juvie.
Exactly, a juvenile detention. And that's the rub. He has this deep desire to enter the priesthood.
But the criminal record blocks him completely.
Totally shuts the door. Yet Mary points out he showed this, genuine passion for faith while he was locked up.
That contrast sounds key.
It really is. So the plan for him is just work at this grim-sounding sawmill. A dead end, basically.
Doesn't sound very spiritual.
Not at all. But when he gets to the area, he senses something about the local churchgoers, like they're closed off, maybe hiding things.
And Mary uses that phrase, unorthodox salvation.
Yeah, like they need something different, something unexpected.
Which is where Daniel steps in, presumably. The director is John Kamasa.
John Kamasa, yes. And the core idea, as Mary describes it, is Daniel seizing this opportunity, putting on the collar, and becoming the priest in this small town.
And Mary sets a pretty stark tone early on, describing the opening scene.
She does. She talks about a scene in the detention center. Really brutal. Fellow inmates attacking a younger kid.
Oof. Establishes the world he's leaving.
Right. Immediately shows you the harshness. But then, like you said about contrast, Mary also notes seeing Daniel in that same place, leading hymns, praying genuinely into the Catholic Mass.
It's a really powerful image, that duality.
And that duality feeds right into the themes Mary pulls out. She talks about identity, guilt, release, belonging. Big stuff.
Sounds like even though the setting is very Polish, very Catholic, Mary felt the core struggles were universal. I mean, who doesn't wrestle with identity or wanting to belong?
Exactly her point. She mentions how these themes just transfer. Daniel's trying to escape his past, his, assigned fate.
But the villagers have their own assigned roles, too.
Yeah, these sort of fixed social positions in the community. It speaks to how we can all feel a bit trapped sometimes.
And Mary frames it almost like an old story.
Like a morality tale, she says, or maybe a Polish folk tale.
Yeah.
Saints and sinners, and maybe the lines are blurry.
Interesting. Now, the review really focuses on the actor playing Daniel, Bartosz Belania.
Oh, absolutely. Mary doesn't hold back. She calls his performance utterly luminous.
Luminous. Wow. And she mentions his eyes.
Yes. Piercingly hypnotic blue eyes. That description really jumps out.
It suggests a real intensity.
For sure, which fits the character, because Daniel is so complex, according to Mary. He's got this empathy, he listens patiently, like ideal priest material in some ways.
What?
But yeah, he's also drowning in guilt from his past, from the lie he's living right now, and he still has his own vices.
So it's that constant internal battle.
Right, and Mary says Belania is just compelling to watch. He has this raw presence on screen.
And somehow, despite the deception, the comfort he gives people feels real.
That's what Mary felt, yeah. The spiritual connection he makes with the parishioners, it lands as genuine. You buy into his impact.
But he's not just offering comfort, is he? Mary says he also challenges them.
He does. She highlights how he points out the community's own hypocrisy.
Like what?
Like how they sort of fawn over the rich mill owner, but then direct all this hatred towards a widow whose husband caused a fatal car crash.
Okay, so the fake priest sees the real moral issues.
Precisely. And Mary's take is that his bluntness, his truth in those moments, combined with his energy, it's exactly what that community needed.
And maybe what he needed too.
Perhaps. By finding a purpose. Even in a lie.
Okay, shifting gears a bit. What about the look of the film? Mary mentions the cinematography.
Yeah, Piotr Sobocinski Jr.'s work. She was hugely impressed.
Any specific examples she gives?
A few vivid ones, like a thumping, swirling, shaky cam when Daniel's giving in to his vices, putting you right in his headspace.
Right.
Then there's the way the mist is captured in the Polish countryside. Beautiful, but maybe unsettling.
And something about a fire.
Yes.
Yeah.
This image of Daniel's little temporary home burning, she described it as amber against the inky midnight sky. Really sticks with you.
It sounds like the visuals really support the mood. Mary talks about the color palette, too.
Mm-hmm. Hazy, washed-out grays, greens, blues, browns. She felt it really underscored the feeling of grief and secrecy hanging over the village.
So the look is doing heavy lifting, not just background.
Definitely integral. And the director, Kamasa, Mary notes how he balances different tones.
How so?
He blends humor, moments of lightness with real terror and sometimes shocking brutality.
And Mary found that effective.
She called it extremely refreshing, said it lets the characters really breathe, feel like complex people, not just symbols.
Makes sense. Avoids being just one thing.
And it feeds into that core irony Mary keeps circling back to.
Which is?
The convict, the imposter, is actually the most spiritually engaged person there. While the established parish seems full of, as she puts it, pious performers.
People going through the motions, maybe feeling superior.
That's the implication. And there's this great little detail Mary includes, adds a touch of dark humor.
Go on.
Apparently, Daniel has to quickly Google search on his phone how to actually run a confessional booth.
No way. That's brilliant.
It just grounds it. It reminds you he is totally winging it, even as he's having this profound effect.
So funny. Did Mary have any criticisms at all?
Just one thing she sort of picks at, as she says.
Okay.
The romantic subplot. Between Daniel and a local girl, Marta, Mary felt it wasn't totally essential to the main story.
Okay.
Although she does immediately offer a counter thought. Maybe Daniel's direct, unusual approach is exactly the awakening Marta needs.
And who is Marta?
Mary describes her and her friends as these sort of disengaged, maybe disenfranchised local kids. Seeing a pretty bleak future in that town.
Adds another layer. Maybe social commentary.
Could be. But overall, summing up Mary's view, it's overwhelmingly positive.
She liked it a lot.
Yeah. Calls it a very thoughtful film, appreciated that it takes its time, doesn't rush the pacing, avoids cliches.
And the blend of tone and visuals worked for her.
Absolutely. She felt they really reinforced the story's meaning, and she comes back to Bilenia's performance again at the end.
Saying?
That it's outstanding. Truly not to be missed.
And just for context, when the review was written, where could people see it?
Right, this was August 2023. Mary mentioned it was streaming on MUBI in the UK and Ireland then. Obviously, availability changes.
Good to know. Okay, so let's wrap this up. What does this all mean for you, listening?
Well, Mary Munoz's review really paints a picture of Corpus Christi as a film, using this incredible premise to ask some really deep, universal questions.
We've touched on how she highlights those themes: identity, guilt, belonging.
Yeah.
And the power of that central performance from Bilenia.
And how the visual style isn't just window dressing, it shapes the whole feeling of the film.
But I think the core idea that resonates from Mary's review is, well, it's quite provocative, isn't it?
Which idea is that?
That sometimes the most meaningful help, the most genuine connection, maybe even spiritual renewal, comes from completely unexpected people, people outside the system, people society might have written off.
Yeah, that really comes through. Connecting that to the bigger picture. Mary's take suggests the film really pushes back against assumptions. Assumptions about authority, who gets to provide comfort, and maybe how communities can value appearances over actual needs.
It definitely leaves you thinking. Based on how Mary describes it, what is Corpus Christi really saying about faith itself? About the hypocrisy that can hide in plain sight? And about that fundamental human need for real connection?
It's a lot to chew on. And maybe here's a final thought to consider, sparked by Mary's review. In a community burdened by secrets and judgment, could that kind of unorthodox salvation from someone deeply flawed actually be more powerful, more real, than just sticking to the usual religious routines?